Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. With my past of being a libertarian commentator, libertarian podcaster, somebody who promoted libertarianism, which is, they will tell you it's about private property and non coercion. It's about radical individualism. It's about deracinating people. It's about not allowing people to collectivize. There was always this joke about someone would post a meme, anarchists unite. Just understand, our enemy knows how to collectivize. That's all they do. And as I heard Elijah Schaefer of all people say recently, they not only collectivize, they take their most insane people and make them activists, actually make them politicians. And people think that radical individualism is the way to beat this. I remember James Lindsay, who blocked me long ago on Twitter X, when I was just plainly insulting him for being a faggot and just being generally useless. He didn't block me. One day I decided I'm just going to tear apart his arguments in the comments, and I got 2 comments in, and then he blocked me. You see that I had that with a popular libertarian, quote unquote, who is on a highly watched show on the internet that I've actually been on once. You may know who I'm talking about, who, as long as he could call me an anti-Semite, everything was fine. As soon as I started laying out everything in history that causes me to be against the Zionist project, that's when he blocked me. We're at the point now where it's collectivize or die. These people are insane. They genuinely want white Western people dead, whether at this point, by replacement, what has been for decades, to get them to not breed, to do everything they can to get them to not breed. And those of us who didn't have children, that's on us. And then it will get to the point where it will just be like South Africa, where they're just going to take us out. And they will unleash the hordes to do it. They don't have the balls to do it themselves. They will import people from the third world, people who are just, their existence is antithetical to Western values, to do it. Collectivize or die. Get power. That's the way you do this. We live in a system here in the United States where 1776 is not going to happen. This isn't 13 colonies anymore. This is the global American empire. Get that out of your mind. You're going to get yourself elected locally, fortify your local area. If you're in a city, New York, big good luck. I've been telling you, people. So, oh, but that's where the power is. You're just a coward if you run away from the cities. Okay, whatever you say. Sure. Fortify locally, go for state, and then, I mean, after that, who knows? But you're going to need political power. You're going to need legitimacy to do this. The system is right there. Okay? Infiltrating the system, it's another story. That's why it's easier to start locally and build out. If you live in a state of 5 million people, instead of living in a city of 5 million people, it's a lot easier. The ones who are preaching individualism, what are they going to do? They think using political power, which includes force and which often includes violence, it includes the initiation of violence, they consider that to be immoral. Well, when you're trying to save who you are, if you're trying to save your culture, if you're trying to save what civilization you built and your ancestors have built, political getting elected and putting together a coalition elected is the way things are done. Now, your enemies are going to say you're immoral as they pass laws that make it easier to have your kids cut their genitals off without your knowing. While they're passing laws to make it easier, while they're passing laws to make it legal for them to initiate violence against you, but you can't even run for office and get elected. Do you understand this individualism, this libertarianism, this anarcho-capitalism, this agorism? Do you understand that it's a suicide pact? That you're just committing suicide? I've talked about this before. There was this big thing made of, and even I talked about it back in the day, disparagingly, the libertarian to alt-right pipeline. We all remember the term alt-right if we're over 25, I guess. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that people go from non-aggression to get the power of the state and crush your enemies. That's because you realize that libertarians are going to allow this to all go to shit. Some libertarians are fortifying themselves, gaining wealth, doing things like that, and they can somehow they may be able to buy their way out of some things. Not eventually. Eventually, they're not going to. So when you understand that individualism is death, I mean, you're just waiting for the end. And if it's not going to be in your lifetime, it'll be in your kids' lifetime if you have them. I'm trying to create in what I'm doing, I don't have anybody to leave this to. I'm leaving it to you because I understand the value of what was built here in the West. I understand the value that this was the closest thing in the history of mankind that we had to a civilization. People can talk about Rome, of course, yeah. But throughout time, things progress. The Industrial Revolution, that kind of thing throws a wrench into it. I mean, think about Rome, the way it was operated, and insert the Industrial Revolution. They would have had to adjust. I'm doing this so your kids, your grandkids can have something. If I'm doing it at all, if I'm making a difference at all. But the enemies of order, the enemies of Western civilization, the enemies of what was built, they're not going. Their foot's not coming off the pedal. And anyone who's telling you, oh, it's individualism, the James Lindsays of the world, classical liberalism hasn't even begun to fight yet. What the fuck does that mean? That's the gayest thing I've ever heard. Classical liberalism hasn't even begun to fight yet. How many contradictions can you put in one sentence? No, you're going to have to get together with people and just be like, fuck this. We're putting our foot on the brake. We're putting the car in reverse. Now, I know people say you can't go back. You can't. And I believe, with Nick Land, the only way out is through. But we can't abandon principles that are timeless. So we have to go back to some, those have to be cherished. Those have to be held. But it's not individualism. Z-Man has this thing. He says he's going to get T-shirts, punch a libertarian. He says when you see a libertarian, punch him. Now, of course, Z-Man doesn't mean literally, but he's trying to make a point. Libertarians and anarcho-capitalists will tell you that they're not to blame for anything because they have no influence on the mainstream. Just look when it comes to immigration, how many people in the mainstream will quote Cato. And then those same libertarians and anarcho-capitalists will come back to you and say, Cato is not real libertarianism. Shut the fuck up. I'm sick of this bullshit. Okay? Your ideology is a hobby. It's a hobby. I know because I had that hobby for a long time. It's a hobby. You're accomplishing nothing. Collectivize or die. Do it legitimately. You still might rain down hell upon yourself doing it legitimately, but at least you're not going to be seen as these, as the Randy Weavers of the world or anyone who they targeted in the PatCon movement in the 1990s. Collectivize or die. Ignore libertarians. Ignore anarcho-capitalists. Ignore agorists. Ignore them. They have nothing for us except the ideology of death going forward. They have nothing. What? You're arguing? Just the fact that you're arguing for your rights shows that you believe in private property. So you're in a performative contradiction. Great. Now face the wall. Oh, but now yes. The world is violent. Men are violent. People are violent. That's the real world. Get out of your autistic fucking little box and realize the world is violent. Do what I didn't do. You fucking 25-year-olds who all you have is your fucking theory. Get married and have 10 kids. Teach them about natural order. Teach them to be completely against this regime. Stop being fucking pussies. I repent of it every day that I ever influenced anyone to think like that. Quit it. Stop it. Collectivize or die. All right. I hope that's not blackpilling. It's not that's not my goal. But collectivize or die. That's where we're at. Take care, all right?